How's it going, guys? Good to talk to everybody again. Hope everyone is well. Merry Christmas. It's Christmas Eve. I thought this would be a great day to release the drum room tour. A lot of people have been asking. A lot of people have been excited. We're down here making it happen. Freezing cold, but it's done. So grab a cold snack, grab grandma. Let's jump into this. So let me paint a picture. I'm on my way down the stairs, something I do every single day, and boom, this is what I see. Merry Christmas, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. And that's what I see. The hammer of justice crushes you. Welcome to the drum tour. The drum room tour. Can't get that damn word out. Anyway, drum room tour. Thank you for everybody who suggested it. I think it's a great idea. Here we are. Freezing cold in this basement. Cold snap up in the Northeast. We're down here getting it done. I appreciate it. I'm going to give you a panoramic view of the room first, and then we'll stop in chronological order and talk about each kit, you know, how I did it, you know, some facts, what I'm running. I have deviated from some of the original stuff Lars did, and I'll tell you why and what. Follow up from the last video I did. This is what I was able to do with these posters that everybody helped me acquire by sending the files. Sadly, I am running out of wall space, so I had to do it this way, but still awesome. Thank you, Mike, thank you, Eric, and thank you, Mr. Anonymous. Continuing around the room. And that's pretty much the gist of the drum room. That's what we have here. So basically, to break it all down, this is just your average Northeast home basement. You know, under my house. You know, look up there, it's nothing sexy. I live up there, I play down here. Stairs. I mean, I have a press where I do all the work on my cars, press out bearings. We work on handguns there, toolbox, some storage shit. That is the, real quick, because you're not getting the address there. That is the paperwork for when I sent the snare to Metallica. Some IROC-Z's, my second passion. So, as you can see, it's just your average room, nothing special. But we have heavy metal over here. Average basement over here. So anyway, that's what the drum room looks like from the inside. Storage shelf there. I have a compressor and a hose to actually blow out the sawdust from the hoops. It gets very dusty down here. These especially get super dusty. I don't know why, I think it's the light color. So before the video I dusted them off and they're all dusty again. But what are you gonna do about that? Storage shelf. So anyway, let's jump right into it. Actually, the first kit that I built was the Damage Incorporated kit. Master Puppets Tour kit, whatever you want to call it. This is the first one I did. I did this in 2018 when I got back into drumming. I was on a little bit of a hiatus, maybe 10 years, and I didn't want to do. I mean, I don't really like. I mean, they're great drums, but I'm not really into today's drums, the Star Classics and whatnot. I really don't like the shallow toms. They do sound good, but it's just not me. So when I got back into it, I wanted to do replicas of my favorite band's drum kits, Lars's drums, and so that's what I did. So I started here. So we're just going to jump into it. These are Thomas Superstar Extras. The Extras is the Power Tom version of the Thomas Superstars. Lars's were Thomas Superstar Extras also. Same exact thing he used. He just didn't use this, if you know what I'm talking about. So these were actually, well, they still are. They are cherry wine underneath. You could tell from these hoops. These were stock. I didn't have to do anything to these. Fortunately, I don't think I can do anything to these and match that color. But these came with the kit. I had to use a chrome wrap. So a lot of people ask me how I wrap my drums. Well, there's a couple ways you can do it. There's a couple companies you can get it from. You can get the chrome wrap and other wraps. You can get it from a place actually not too far from me called Precision Drum. Precision Drum deals with a lot of wraps. If you're looking for another way to do it, Bum Wrap Drum Wrap. They also sell the wraps. So I think I've used a different company for each of these drums. And when we get to the Damaged Justice drum kit, that's a completely different story, and we'll get into that. So, just going down, that's a jungle of Titans, isn't it? Pretty cool. So, let's break down the drums here. So these are 16 by 24 kicks, both of them. Front heads are just your black Remo Ambassadors. These, unfortunately, and I don't know why at the time, I should have bought pinstripes for these. I guess I wasn't thinking about this, but when I had these front heads, I had to have them custom done. I gave the guy a picture, and without even asking, he put that circle around there to replicate the pinstripe heads. Didn't even ask him. Pretty cool thing. Sometimes I think about ripping it off, and other times I'm like, it looks pretty good, so I'll just keep it. But these were replicated by a local graphic shop, did an excellent job. As you can see, this one here. Now these are birch drums, and Lars's were birch too. So right here, just a picture I stuck in there. I didn't want to do one of those giant boards that they have at like car shows, those giant, where they tell you all the information. I'm kind of strapped for space down here with these 3 giant kits, as you can imagine. So I didn't want to do that. So I stuck a picture, and this is actually a Remo 5B. Not his model, but exactly what he used. And that's the theme down here, really. Except for that snare, nothing's been used by him. So anyway, let's go on down the line. 12 by 11, 13 by 12, 14 by 13, 15 by 14, period correct. Omni-lock tom mounts, my favorite, period correct. This monkey, believe it or not, exact same model monkey he used on his kits. Talk about trying to find something like that. I had to just search pictures and pictures of stuffed monkeys, and I joined some Facebook groups about stuffed animals. And one day it just popped up on eBay. Now I have to match the pictures. It matched. I knew what I was after that, and I buy them all the time, still to this day. So we did the toms, we did the tom mounts. Now this was more of a restore than a build. Now when I got this, like most drums, these were in terrible, terrible condition. There was a lot of sanding involved before I wrapped. And these, they were just junked up and pitted. So there was a lot of time on the bench grinder with a buffing wheel. But I think they came out pretty good. Love these tom mounts. We're going to get over to the Grand Stars, but let me tell you, compared to the Grand Stars, these are amazing. You can really dial these in. You can get that position, and there's not that kind of ledge. Let's talk about the ledge. This ledge here, you can see how this is almost touching. Doesn't exist over here, so I can get that perfect angle. Out of all the kits I own, this one is the most comfortable to play by far. Not the best sounding, aside from the kicks. Not the best sounding, but the most comfortable to play. Excuse my voice, I have a little cold, chest cold going on. All right, let's talk about the floor toms. This is one of the areas where I kind of did not keep it original, because let's face it, I do play these often. And because I play them often, I gotta like the sound too, and like what I'm playing. So Lars used 2 18 by 16s. I do not. I use a 16 by 16, and I use an 18 by 16. I never liked the fact or the idea of playing 2 of the same size drums. It's not me. I don't like it. So I know it's different, and this is one of the areas I deviate from. I do not play 2 18s. Is what it is. So give you a little tour from the back here. This snare, Mastercraft, 6.5 by 14. If you look closely, yeah, those lugs got me too. I had to put spare lugs that would fit from another Thomas snare. Very, very hard to find these. And when you're taking these apart to restore and clean, The screw holes in the back, very brittle. Word of caution, if you are restoring one, be very careful. Very hard to find. I can buy another snare and steal the lugs off it, but I really haven't gotten to that yet. It's not the top of my list. But anyway, we have the Lars Ulrichs stick holder. Little overkill for one stick, but that's what he did and that's what he ran. So to replicate it, when I build stuff like this, I want to immerse myself in the moment. I want the kit to be in the moment, as if you were to walk on stage in 1986 and 7. This is what it would be like. That's what I try to achieve with these kits. Okay, there's another area of deviation. I had the King Beats, but when you come from new pedals and you go to the King Beats, I mean, don't get me wrong, back in the day, Tama made some fantastic equipment. They really can't compete with the pedals of today. Naturally, it's 40 years later, I get it. So I run Tama Iron Cobra 900s. I have switched the beaters out to the 600 model beater. When I first got these and I ran the 900 model beater, that thing disintegrated within a month. It was awful. It's one of the worst things Tama has put out there. I don't know why. It did not last. I found that the 600 beaters, they sound good to me and they work for me. So I switched the 900 beaters over to the 600. So I'm running 2 of those. I have the period correct hi-hat stand and also the period correct drumstick in the hi-hat leg. Towel, as always, hanging where he hung his. Now, another place I have deviated, for good reason, drum stool. If you've seen my videos, you know I'm a fat bastard. I gotta have a strong stool. The old vintage equipment, unless I could get it new out of the box, just was never comfortable to me. And because it was so heavily used, it felt like it wobbled around. It wasn't strong enough. I used the modern Tama Thrones with a towel over it, just like him. Now, this is one of those things that until I replicated, I didn't realize how functional it was. It does keep you from sliding around on this vinyl. But it's just your Tama first chair. Nothing special about that. Driver's seat here. What a beautiful kit. So this is just a little coffee table. It's perfect for when I put the EAD10 module over here. I'd never had to buy a stand. But in the meantime, you know, I have a multi-tool. Every drummer knows liquid skin. Boy, that's a lifesaver. These, I don't listen to CDs and cassettes anymore because I do a lot of driving and I use today's media like everybody else, Spotify, Pandora. So I thought this would be the perfect place to let them sit, kind of on display. There's some gaff tape, the Ulrich headband, spare drumsticks, all wrapped, ready to go. Duster, it gets very dusty, like I said. All right, we have to talk about cymbals. Well, first of all, we have to talk about the stands. Tama Titan all around, red label Titans, 6940. You know what, this is going to be the last time I give you the model number, because if you have seen or if you're interested, I did pretty much a 5-part series with the Drum History Podcast, and we went soup to nuts into the hardware. There's all kinds of model numbers and everything. So to not be repetitive, that's the last time I mention a model number, I promise. But anyway, my favorite stands. I love the Tama Titan red labels. Great stands. You can't beat them. There's nothing that matches them made today. That weight it just keeps it planted. I mean, sometimes the China will move on me, but everything else stays planted. So when I first built this kit, because I didn't know I was going to take this room this far and this hobby this far, I had originally went with the Road Pros. Road Pros are hanging out down there, and I kept 5 of them, but we'll discuss that later, why I kept 5 of them. I originally started with those, but I switched over to the Titans. Number one, I wanted it to be period correct. I started with the Road Pros. I didn't realize I was going to take it this far. When I realized I was going to, I had to get them period correct. Everything else was. So that's what I did, and I finished that this summer. And one of the main reasons why I switched, and I'll show you, is this wing nut right here. I think this is one of the worst things Tama has put out in years. This is an awful, awful design. It never stays tight. You can never get it tight. And the cymbals, I don't like my cymbals. I know that people say leave them loose. I don't like them that loose. I like them tighter. So the old Tama plastic nut has always worked for me and always worked well. So that's the second reason I switched over. So let's discuss cymbals. This is another area I've deviated from the original. Way back in the late 90s, early 2000s, I always played Zildjian A's. Now, Zildjian A's cracked very, very frequently on me. To Zildjian's credit, Zildjian would warranty them, but I would have to ship them out on my dime, and Zildjian would ship it back on theirs. But it kept happening so often, I had to do something. So back then, I went with Z Customs. Z Customs were great and never gave me any problems. But when I got back into it in 2018 and started building these kits, Z Customs were discontinued. So I had to do something. So I went with Vinyl Classic Customs, Extreme Metals. I think they're a fantastic cymbal and they work for me. Aside from the China, which I absolutely despise this China. This is an 18. For the sake of saving space, I know he ran 20s. I run an 18 here. And I run a 20 here. But this is a heavy hammered Byzance, which I hate this one too. It is what it is. I don't like it. So that's what I did. That's another place I deviated from. Z Custom is back on the market now, but in order to put cymbals on these three kits and to retrofit them all to Z Customs, you're talking thousands. I just can't justify that. So, for the time being, they work for me. I like the sound aside from the Chinas. I am running Vinyl Classic Customs. Everybody asks me that and asks me why. You heard it here first. That is why. So let's go around, and I'll tell you what I'm running. 18 Extreme Metal China. 18 Crash. 19 Crash. Now, I know Lars ran a little smaller, but this is what I wanted. I wanted an 18 and a 19. 15-inch hats. Love them. Always wanted to try them. Love them for playing. When it comes to recording with the EAD10, that is a different story. That's why when you see my videos, these are so heavily muted. They, if I don't mute these give me, they give me problems. They drown everything out. So that's why I do that. And by the way, after the Stranger Things Master of Puppets video, I decided to put new heads all across the batters here. And let me tell you, it's about $250 nowadays to rehead the batters only. 19, 18, 17, great combination. Love them. 14, and I got a 20-inch extreme metal ride. It's not my favorite. I used to have a paste back in the day that I liked more. Now, this is a medium Crash just because I was replicating and he had one here. I decided to try something different and go with an 18-inch medium. Nice little change. And, of course, the 20 heavy-hammered Byzance. So that's what I'm running for cymbals, and that's why I run it the way I do. This is just loose. I don't tighten it down or anything. I just, it's just on its own. It's just touching the other one. That's it. No pressure. This one I've got that clutch. Now, we talked about this. Sorry about the finger. That, before I found out that there was a DW, and I searched for years, I didn't know there was a DW. That's the only thing that I saw that matched up. So that's a Canon. Eventually, when I find them, I'm going to switch these over to DW. But at the moment, that's what I'm running. Drum heads, they are, as you can see, your black dot clear heads. And I don't know why. Well, I have an idea why. I guess these came with the Superstars back in the day. if you look at all the sales ads and everything, they all show the clear dots. So I believe that's why Lars ran them, because they came with it. And for some reason, his floor toms are always pinstripes. So that's what I did. I replicated it. I mean, I'm a pinstripe guy. These aren't too far off, so I'm okay with it. But I'm a pinstripe guy through and through. Clear ambassadors on this kit on the Rezo heads. Of course, we got the coated controlled sound, a black dot. Let's talk about the bass drums. That's another place I deviate from. I am through and through an Evans EAD10 guy. I remember the first time I tried him in 2003. Fantastic drum head. I could never go back, still to this day. And like I said, I still play these. So the Evans EAD10 is for me, and I won't change it. Now, there are some rumors that affects the EAD10, and we'll talk more about the EAD10 when I get over there, where it is set up now, but I can't change these. I love these heads. I know Remo has something now that's kind of along the lines. I think Lars is running it on his kit now, but maybe I will try those next. But for now, Evans EAD10 for me. That is just your period correct Tama-Titan snare stand. There are problems with these, and maybe one day we'll do a repair video, but that gasket right in there, you know, after 40 years it disintegrates. There is a way to fix that without spending huge money on the eBay parts from your Home Depot plumbing aisle. So maybe one day we'll do a repair video on that, but that's what I run there. So I think we've covered all the drum parts of what I'm running and why. If you are a super fan, you will notice the yellow and the red tape from the pictures. I think I actually have a picture. See if we could see it. I don't think the resolution is that good. Yeah, there's the red and there's the yellow. So just out of keeping it period correct, and just like the original, I replicated that. Now, everything down here, and I mean all three of them, are on a platform. I get a lot of questions about the size and why. Well, number one, this is, after all, a basement in the Northeast. And I do, when we get the major hurricanes, I do get a little bit of water. I have in the past. So it's very important that these get up and off the ground, so they'll never be touched by water. So the pad is 10 by 10, framed in 2 by 8s. So it's 8 inches high, 10 by 10. And there is a black carpet on it. And I think it looks pretty cool, but it's much needed. So that is the unsung hero, as well as this. It gets humid in basements, and this dehumidifier keeps it dry down here. You know, the humidity will always affect your tuning. I mean, because it's wood, after all, it will affect your tuning. So that keeps everything nice and dry, and it won't rust on me, and that is another one of the unsung heroes. Not all heroes wear capes. Thank you, Mr. Dehumidifier. So, I mean, we could talk about the posters on the wall here. You know, that's fitting. Damage Incorporated tour. I always wanted a large backdrop like Metallica had. Well, I can't get one of those. So what I thought the best thing to do was, or the biggest thing I could find, was a blanket. And I just framed it out on 2x4s. Actually, I think it's 2x3s. And I did the same for these fabric posters. Painted them black, framed them on that. Got another master back there. I think it looks pretty good. Just some more, you know, wall filler. I didn't know I was making a drum room or drum museum. I'm going to record videos, so I just kind of threw stuff up there. But now I'm running out of wall space, so some of it we might have to get rid of. And trust me, I won't throw it away. I'll either sell it or we'll raffle it or we'll do something cool. But that's pretty much it for this kit anyway. We got 2 more to discuss, but that is your Damage Incorporated kit. My most comfortable kit to play. mainly because I can get those toms dialed in perfectly on the tom mounts. Aside from the kick drums, which I think are the best sounding kick drums down in this room, and I don't know why that is. They're birch, and so are the Grand Stars. It could be just where I have it, you know, underneath. I believe that's my bedroom up there, and there's a very thick rug, and it's not like that on top of those kits. So that could be the reason. But in my opinion, best sounding kick drums in the room, most comfortable kit to play because of these Omnilocks. Love these things. So, let's go back here and discuss this because it did come up. So, before I really got going, I used to have, and I'm sure you could see it in my old videos, blue bubble wrap up here. Well, this is my heating ducts. And let me tell you, one day before I had any wrapping on here, there was a very sharp corner. And I caught my head on that, and I busted it wide open. Man, I was bleeding everywhere, all over the floor down here. I've since shampooed it out, but something had to be done. So before I started doing videos, I wrapped it in blue bubble wrap. Looks stupid. Looks awful. It clashes with everything. So not too long ago, I decided to put black foam. Much better. Needs to be there. I'm not busting my head open again. So anyway, as I've said for the 10th time, that is the Damage Incorporated kit. Now, I'm not going to edit this video too much. I'm going to put the phone down and take a break in a minute because I have to, let's be honest, I have to piss like crazy right now. And I'd also like to edit in some photos of what this looked like before this. I got this kit in Long Island in 2018. It was an eBay purchase, and I went to drive and get it. And if you look up in the corner, this is what it looked like. And this is what it looks like now. So I'm going to take a break, and then we will move on to the Damage Justice Tour Kit. Stay tuned. All right, here we are, Damage Justice Tour Kit. Supporting Injustice for All. One of my favorite drum kits, honestly. Between this one and that one, sometimes I have a hard time picking out which is my favorite. A little backstory on this. When I built the Superstars, I wasn't completely satisfied because I had always wanted, in my life, I've always wanted a Tama Grand Star. The Superstars popped up and they were available at the time, so I jumped on them. But I always wanted a Grand Star. So being unsatisfied, I said, I am doing these Grand Stars. I am doing this. I'm going to get it done, and I'm going to replicate. Originally, I wanted to replicate that, but I didn't know a 16 by 15 existed. So I went with this one because it was easier. So I'm very, very glad I did because now I've done all three. But anyway, so this one I went about a little different. This one came from Music Go Round in St. Louis, and I'll put up the picture. This one was cherry wine. Not cherry wine, cherry or candy apple red. Beautiful, beautiful finish. But of course, it didn't stay that way. And when I originally got these, my plan was to get these lacquered because Lars's were a custom color. Now, it was always said that they were gunmetal gray. Well, they were not. The gunmetal gray that Tama made was darker than this. And I always heard the rumor that they were called Gunsmoke Blue. I guess that makes sense. I heard that he did it because he was a Raiders fan. I don't know if that's true. I heard he did it because Nico McBrien's kit. I don't know if that's true, but whatever. Beautiful looking kit. The color scheme is amazing. You can't argue that. So when I did this one, Precision Drum and, well, Bum Wrap Drum Wrap had something close, but I wasn't satisfied with it. Of course, without having the kit in front of me, it was a major guessing game because this one is very, like his, is very sensitive to light. So let me turn the light off. It's like a completely different kit. Turn it back on, you see. And his is too. It's probably that gray. But anyway, this one I ended up wrapping with a company called R Vinyl in Brooklyn, New York. I am a New York guy, and I work in and around Manhattan. So I took a ride over there, and I got some samples, and I thought they were the best matching color, let me say. Our Vinyl makes a lot of car wraps, heavier PVC wraps. They have all kinds of stuff. They specialize in wrapping material. So I bought a color from them. I think it was called slate or rock gray, gloss rock gray, whatever. I thought it best matched, so I went that way. It's pretty much the same setup. The sizes are, and we'll run through them again, 16 by 24, 16 by 24, 12 by 11, 13 by 12, 14 by 13, and 15 by 14. And let me just say, these 15 by 14s are massive, massively heavy. Another unsung hero, these tom mounts, but we will get into these in just a minute. And if you think that's big, well, that's a 16 by 15. That's even heavier. But anyway, 15 by 14, and just like the Superstars, I'm not going to run 218s. Lars did it. I get it. I have to play these every day, so I am 16 by 16, 18 by 16. On this one, all pinstripe heads. I prefer pinstripes. EAD10s. Still running those. Your Rezo heads are Remo Ebony Ambassadors. All the way around, including under the floor toms. I'm not going to attempt to get you under there. Trust me, it is ebony. But these were a little difficult. Now, back in the day, I remember Interstate Music Catalog used to carry Tama heads, front heads with the logo in 24. Not so much anymore. So I had to custom make these. Again, this is a Remo Ebony Ambassador, but if you take your wife or your girlfriend's nail polish remover and you rub it across that Remo logo, it'll wipe right off. So that's what I did, and I got some custom Tama stickers, decals, whatever you want to call them, from eBay. And I talked to a friend or two, and I got the correct measurements from the original Tama Grand Star heads, and I placed them on there. And they came out very nice. Very nice indeed. Excuse me. Same thing here. Just a picture I had laying around. I decided to frame and put there with a drumstick. Why not? Because any Regal tips you find now, and I know I keep hearing people say they came back and they're making product. I can't find it. So these are new old stock, unused vintage Remo 5Bs, just like he used. Not his model, but it's what he used. So now one of the very obvious things that sets this kit apart is the black hardware. So that was the very difficult part of this. So I think we're talking about 500 pieces before you get to these tension rods. Now on this kit, Lars had the tension rods powder coated also. So I decided to go that route. Now after I stripped these off, I knew it was a huge job. So I called a couple different powder coaters. Some told me right over the phone that they couldn't handle it. They wanted nothing to do with it. So fine, fair enough. It's good to be honest. I finally found a powder coater, and it's called Prodigy Powder Coating. It's up by me. He was actually the powder coater for Paul Jr. from Orange County Choppers, if you've ever heard of that. I'm sure some people have. So everything seemed good. I told him, I'm going to come up and speak with you because this is a major job, and I just want to make sure you can handle them. If you can't, be honest with me and tell me. He said, no problem, bring it all up. I bring up this giant box, 500-600 pieces, and we talk for hours, and he assures me he can do it. He said, I'll powder coat all the hardware. All your tension rods I'm going to Cerakote because I'll do the threads and everything for you. Cerakote is so thin, it won't even affect the threads. Great. How much you want? $900, I'll get it done in 2 weeks. Excellent. Let's do it. So, well, it didn't happen that way. 2 weeks turned into 3 weeks, turned into a month, turned into, I'm almost done. I'll have it done by this weekend. That never happened. So you've got all my vintage hardware up there. I need it. I go visit the guy, and the guy had 50 pieces taped off. Not even sandblasted. He did have the hoops done, because I guess they're easy, because there's no prep work on them, except for Sandblasting. Dude, what the fuck? It's been up here 6 weeks. And besides, it was strewn around the shop. Pieces here, pieces there. Shop was filthy. Box it up, I say. Box it up. I'll pay you for your work. Guy was livid. You damn right you'll pay me. No arguments. I'll pay you for your work. So we talk and we talk. Boxes everything up. And thank God he only lost like 4 or 5 tension rods on me. No big deal. I can replace them. I have tension rods laying around. We get to talking. He apologizes. Sorry for not being honest. I said, whatever. I'll pay you for your work. Don't worry about it. He says, I'm sorry. The hoops are on me. So whatever. The hoops here are powder coated. Everything else I had to handle myself. Never again will I let my vintage Tama hardware out of my sight. So, I'm a hands-on guy. I go to Harbor Freight, buy a sandblaster. Sandblast everything. 600 or so pieces. Takes months. So, what do you do next? Well, I sprayed them. And I didn't just rattle can them and run away like you think. These are sandblasted, primered, 2 coats of color, a coat of clear, wet sanded. Yeah, sometimes there's a little bit of orange peel. It is what it is. It happens. But I think overall, I think they came out beautiful. I think you would agree. Sorry for the dust to explain that. But I think they came out beautiful. But, and I did the same thing over here. Never again will I let my vintage hardware out of my sight. But the hoops do have to be powder coated because they take hits from the sticks. So that's what we did with the hardware. And that's how we did it. Everything, believe it or not, is painted, cleared, and sanded. And that's how I went about that. So we talked about the hardware, we talked about the color, we talked about the front heads, the bottom heads, the top heads. Let's talk about these tom mounts. MTH50. I think this is the worst tom mount that ever existed on planet Earth. Now hear me out. I understand these are aged. Take a look at that. Those are touching. There's no more bite left. But what kills me about these tom mounts are, how are you supposed to get your hand in there and adjust that? I mean, I can get them in, but I got to get a key out, and the key hits this. I got to take the tom off. What a nightmare. And like I said a little bit ago, you try and get the perfect angle here, and the damn lug is almost hitting that bar. Look at that. I can't swing them down anymore where I like them. So I think this is the worst tom mounts that ever existed. Also, they're weak. Yes, I'm running power toms. I get it. But I think they're very weak. They're very hard to adjust, and they're just awkward. On the other hand, the tom mounts, the tom holders on the shells, the mounts on the shells, love them. I think this hexagon shape here keeps it perfect. This hexagon rod keeps it, from sliding around, because there are really, on these Grand Stars, the memory locks do not hold the weight. The hex rod does. While we're on the memory locks, very hard to find original Tama memory locks for the hex rods. If you take yourself to Ace Hardware, get yourself a split shaft collar. And they come in black. You're welcome. MTH 50s, horrible. So, what I have to do to these is there's a nylon ball in here. Now, all these nylon balls are sprayed with Rhino liner or pickup truck bed liner. Spray the balls, and there's rubber washers in each one to take up some of the space and some of the wear over the years, which I get is normal, but that's what I had to do. I will milk the shit out of these tom holders till the end because they're hard to get. And on that note, because they are what they are, I keep 2 full sets on hand, ready to go at all times. And I also keep one for the MTH 300, but really don't need that one. So back to the kit. We talked about the color, the powder coating, tom mounts, snare. Awesome snare. That's an 8-inch deep snare. 14 by 8, just like he used on tour. He ran a black one and a white one. I thought the white one popped better. Unfortunately, the infamous part of this is these Freedom lugs. If you know anything about the Freedom lugs, they tend to crack up there and break if you tension them too tight. I kind of keep these a little lower. I don't get the perfect tuning I want, but still it's a fantastic snare. Looks amazing. Just like him, that's what I'm running. And these are all Grand Star customs, just like he had. Same thing, Tom and Titan hardware. Love this hardware. I've got most all the memory locks. I am looking for a bunch more for the Damage Inc. kit. If anybody has them, hit me up. I am a buyer. But anyway, on this kit we lost 3 cymbals. We lost one China on the left. We lost the ride, and we lost that right side 4th crash. So it was a little less here, but pretty much I'm running the same shit. I'm running Meinl Extremes, Classic Custom Extremes, 15-inch hi-hat, 14-inch hi-hat, and now I did change up the China because I don't like the Meinl Chinas. I went with a Zildjian. Zildjian China Trash, Oriental. I love that cymbal, and I put it over there as well on the Wherever I'm Ever I'm tour kit. So that's what I'm running, and that's my favorite combination for cymbals. What else can we talk about? So over here, I love the 900 Tama Iron Cobras, but the 600s are a fair bit cheaper, and they're just as good. So I decided on the second kit to run 600s, and I did it over there on the Wherever I'm Ever I'm tour kit too. 600s are great pedals. They work for me. Same thing. I replicated the stick holder here. The way I did that is if you go on Amazon and you find the cheapest practice pad with a stand, that's how you do it. You take the top off, throw it in the garbage, just let the stick and fall right in. We discussed the sizes. We discussed the snare. Pro Beat, period correct hi-hat stand with the stick in the legs. You got the towels again. Got the towels on your throne. Over here I had to do a newer Tama first chair, newer model. Great throne. There's the heavy muting I talked about. Just so happens that I am recording on this kit now. I just released Blackened, and I gotta have these. It looks stupid, but I gotta have them. We'll talk about the EAD10. It seems to me like you have to relearn how to play drums to make it work for the EAD10. Okay, so we just have some pictures on the wall. Now, when I do my pictures and posters, I like to keep them also period correct with vintage pictures and posters. You know, aside from these fabric album covers, which are just cool. The bigger ones, I think these are 4x4. You know, magazine clippings, magazine posters, anything I find that's period correct, and it has to have the kit in it when I'm doing these, or I'm really not interested in it. But I mean, how close is that? I mean, not how close is it, it's fucking identical. It's identical. And then I have another table which works perfect for the module. Same thing. Over here I have the period correct white Ulrich bandana, gaff tape, key, more sticks down here. Just a vintage time period correct magazine with information about that kit in it. How cool is that? Perfect place to sit down here. Shoes. I don't have shoes for the Damage Inc. kit. I was unable to find them, but these are period correct. And like I said, when I do a kit like this and I'm going to replicate it and go this far, I really want to be in that time period. As you were to walk on stage, if you were to walk on stage at a Monsters of Rock stadium show, this is the shit you would find. This is exactly what it would look like. And that's how I decided to do it. So I don't think there's much more to talk about on this kit. Great color. Love the powder coat. Well, I didn't powder coat them, but I love the black hardware. Love the snare. One of my favorite kits, believe me. Sometimes it's this one, sometimes it's that one that takes the top spot, but beautiful kit. Again, the monkey is back. But I noticed in some of the pictures that Lars kind of put some marker on it, made it look a little different, and I'll show you. Let's find it. Sorry about the glare. So I kind of did the same thing. I'm all about details. And Danish flag. So I think we've discussed everything about this kit. Oh, the Tama X auxiliary hat. Love that. What a great piece of hardware for its time. Very super adjustable, very strong. Sometimes the springs get a little weak in there, but just a great auxiliary hi-hat arm. Everything Tama Titan put out back in the 80s is just fantastic. It just holds up so well. And I mean, these are super clean. Funny story about these. I actually got these from Queens. Popped up on Marketplace one day. And the guy had 3 of them, like brand new old stock, and he wanted $100 for all 3. You see how beautiful shape these are in. And the guy said to me, I have to go grocery shop, and I have things to do tonight, and I have others interested. I said, sir, if I give you $250 for everything and pay you for your time, will you meet me tonight? He said, yeah, I'll do that. So I ran down there, gave him the $250, and the funny story is, it's one of those brownstones in Queens. Nice guy, but I get in there, he's like, I need you to shut the door before you look at these stands because the apartment next to me is infested with cockroaches. Great, just what I need. But I'm not leaving these stands behind. So I take the stands home. I put them in my woodshed for like 2 weeks just to make sure. Nothing ever happened, thank God, but just a funny story. I mean, building these kits, I'm driving all over the tri-state area, sometimes even further. You got to do what you got to do. Most of this shit, believe it or not, when I replicated this, besides that one, which came from eBay, came from Marketplace, came locally. Sometimes you'll have to reverb or eBay a piece or two, but most of it came locally. And when I was done with this kit, I had a 24-inch kick drum left over. I had a 10-inch tom. As you know, he didn't run 10-inch toms on these two. And I had a 12-inch tom. And that's going to play in later. But that's what I was left with. So that's how this one came to be. Now I think it's important that we talk about the Yamaha EAD10. The Yamaha EAD10 is a funny piece of equipment, in my opinion. It is the best piece of equipment I have ever purchased in my life, and it is the biggest piece of crap I've ever purchased in my life. And let me explain. So the EAD10, first of all, I've got it heavily modified. I am running 2, whatever you want to call them, microphones, sensors. They're not quite triggers. They don't touch the bass drum heads. These work off of vibration on the hoops. They don't touch the head. I have a snare trigger, but the only way you can achieve this is you have to buy 2 separate kits. And I did. I took a gamble, shelled up the money, bought 2. I got 1 used from Sweetwater, and I found 1, again, on Marketplace. I said, let me take a chance. Why not? Why can't I split the feed? And that's exactly what I did. I split the feeds on them. Now, they do work. They do pick up both kick drums. They have a little trouble, and I found this out with Blackened. They have a little trouble picking up the fast double bass. Now, if you go back and you listen to that recording, and I am not proud of that double bass, what happens is it seems that these tend to miss a lot of the notes. They miss some of the kick hits. I don't know how to fix it. I think it's because I'm making this thing do something it's not designed to do. I don't think it was designed to be split like this. It doesn't seem like it can handle it. And I'm not too happy with the kick sound. Now, there's a guy named Stefano Siberio or whatever Very talented guy. Has a video about this Yamaha EAD10 system. And I followed it. And I followed it to a T. And I set it up just like him. But the problem is, even though he's very talented and I respect him, his sound is not my sound, if you know what I mean. I didn't like the sound. I don't want to play with a brick and a towel on my snare drum. I just don't want to play it. And that's what when I started this video, I said, it seems like you have to play around the Yamaha EAD10, which I'm not happy with. You know, the hi-hats are so loud because they're so close, but what am I going to do? Where am I going to move that thing? Am I going to go through the wall and into my front yard? You can't. Nothing can move anymore, and I'm not willing to do that. These are replica kits, and they're meant to be played like this. So, in that note, the Yamaha EAD10 is not that good. I don't think so. Another glaring problem with this EAD10 system, if you look here, your volume buttons. You have your master volume, which controls everything. You have your audio and click volume. You cannot separate the volume of the audio and the click track. Now, that's a problem for me. Now, when I started in 98, I played without a click track till I started playing again in 2017 and 18. When I started playing again in 2017 and 18, I wanted to play with a click track. When I started playing with a click track, it was the best thing I had ever done. It helped my playing and my timing so much. And I continued to play with it till I started making these videos with the Yamaha EAD10. So sometimes the audio's too loud and I can't hear the click. Sometimes the click is too loud and I can't hear the song. You cannot change the beats per minute mid-song unless you program it in. I don't know how to do that. I don't think you can with this. So all these videos you see are me playing without a click. And I know my playing is suffering from it. I don't like playing without a click. Now, the app itself does have a click too, but you cannot change the beats per minute at all on the click track on the app. That's all automatic. And if you play a song like Blacken, for instance, the intro is 43 beats per minute. Once the song gets going, it's 192 beats per minute. You can't change that. It has heard the first couple of seconds of the song, and it's 43 beats per minute. You can't change it. That's not going to work. And it doesn't work. So I'm down here playing without a click track. I don't like that. So that's where I think it suffers. Another place where it suffers, the snare trigger. Now, if you listen to my videos, at any given time in any given song, you will hear 3 to 4 different snare sounds. It's unreal to me. I don't know why it does that. Probably, again, because I have it modified to do something it wasn't designed to do, which is my fault. You cannot blame that on Yamaha. But there are 4 different snare sounds. There's a lot of reverb. Now, the reverb is me, but I get 4 different snare sounds. My thinking with the reverb is, if you had to ask me my dream drum sound, it would be the kick drums from Injustice for All, and it would be the Vinnie Paul snare sound. If you want to know what I mean exactly, pull up Pantera Live 2001 Seoul, South Korea, and listen to that live show. That's my favorite snare sound. So I do go a little heavy on the reverb. That's what I like, and that's what I'm going to do. But I just think that the Yamaha EAD10 lacks a little bit when you get some experience. So now that I've been playing with it for a year and a half, I'm more into it. It's lacking to me. But I have to give it all the credit in the world for simplifying things and giving me the opportunity to start making these covers, because I'm not technologically inclined and I can't do that. I couldn't do that on my own, and it helped me. So that's why I say it's the best piece of equipment I've ever bought, and it's the worst piece of equipment I've ever owned. But I'm going to have to deal with it. I definitely want to start using microphones. But when you get into microphones, the first thing is, and I'm sure I can learn, I don't know the first thing about recording with microphones. I know you have a microphone. I know you have a microphone cable. I don't know where those cables go. You have to have a couple channels. Well, I need at least 12 channels to do this. So if you're watching and anybody knows how to do it, you could help me out. I'd appreciate that. I don't know how it works. I don't know how you would get the song in there, and I just don't know how it works. And because I don't know how it works, and let's be honest, it's very expensive. It's a big gamble to take for a hobby. I mean, I love doing it. I love making these videos and these covers, but it is a big hit to take on a gamble. Maybe in the future we'll do it. I definitely know my sound is suffering, and I would like to explore microphones. So that's how I feel. It's a very big expense to take a gamble on, and I don't make a dime on these videos, and that's not a problem. I'm not interested in that. I'm just having a blast making the videos and playing for everybody, and it's getting really good reception, and people are also enjoying it. I mean, some people always complain and say some nasty shit, but it is what it is. That's YouTube. Everybody has the right to their opinion, but it doesn't bother me. I am having a great time. Maybe we will do microphones in the future. We'll see. But that's my feeling on the Yamaha EAD10. So if you're on the fence about the Yamaha EAD10 and you're a beginner, yes, I recommend it. But keep in mind, you know, it might get a little different once you get some experience. So anyway, that's about it, and we're going to move on. So that's the Damage Justice kit. Let me take a quick break, and we'll move over to the last kit. Stay tuned. All right, the last kit, the world famous Tama Artstar II, Wherever I May Roam tour kit, or Black Album tour kit, as Lars himself, as we found out from the Tama 40th anniversary video, calls it. That was a great video. I think it left a lot to be desired for everyone. He dove into the kits briefly, but we all wanted some more information. So I figured I would do this video because I'm almost, I don't know what you want to call it, 95 or 99% period correct. I figured I'd do this video and hopefully fill some gaps. It'll never be Metallica, but I think this is the second closest thing probably in the country to it. So anyway, his were Tama Artstar IIs with Tama Grand Star lugs. These are not Tama Artstar IIs, and let me explain. For me to make these Tama Artstar IIs and get the Tama Grand Star hardware on there, I would have to buy two separate kits, and I would have to rob the hardware from one and put on the other. That's a very big expense, and it's kind of unfeasible. After all would be said and done, I would have a mismatched kit. Does anybody want to buy a Tama Artstar with Grand Star hardware? Or I'm sorry, Tama Grand Star with Artstar hardware, the single lugs. No, I don't think so. And, you know, it's kind of dishonest to sell something like that. I mean, I would tell you, but I just don't think it has any value. Maybe it does, but that was my thinking. So I did it this way. You have the Tama Grand Star shells. You have the Tama Grand Star hardware. And let's be honest, I'm not playing stadiums. I'm not recording platinum albums. I am down here in a basement. I can deal with the birch over the maple for what I'm doing. And that's the thing, these are all birch. Different plies, but they're all birch. So I went about it the same way. We talked about the hardware. Exact same thing on the hardware for this, except I found the new powder coater for the hoops. Did a great job, local guy. 16 by 24 kicks, both of them. That hasn't changed. I made the front heads the same way. The toms on this are different. Now, this is when I said from the last kit I had a bunch left over, which I wasn't even going to build this kit, even though it was my dream kit. I wasn't going to build this, but I had so much left over, and they were the correct sizes. I said, you got to do it. You might as well do it because you're never going to get a crack at this. I've missed it 3 times on eBay. Just do it. Just finish it up. So that's what I did. So 10 by 9, 12 by 11, 14 by 13, 16 by 15. That is just so fucking heavy metal. That is just crazy. Only Lars. This one here is actually an Artstar shell because the Grand Star is, I think the Grand Star II had one. I didn't know that when I bought this, but still I'm happier it's an Artstar. What this is this is not supposed to be, well, I mean, you do whatever you want. as Lars did. This was designed to be a mounted floor tom on a floor tom rack on your lower right side. And that's what it was designed to do. So when I found out a 16 by 15 existed, I went ahead with this build. Now, 16 by 15 came in an Artstar, a Grandstar II, and a Rockstar. The first one that popped up for me when I was building this was an Artstar. So I bought it. Now, the Artstar has the single lugs. These have the split shark tooth. The problem was the holes did not line up. No big deal. I can handle that. So with this shell, there was a lot of drilling, filling, and sanding involved to plug up old holes and make new holes. But it came out great. I made it work. So you have, for the rack toms, you have 3 Grandstars and an Artstar. So that's the only thing that's really 100% correct on this kit. But it is what it is. Down here in the basement, I don't hear the sound difference whatsoever. So let's talk about the floor toms, because that's another place I deviated big time on this one. So you have a mounted 16 by 15. So my thought is, why run a 16 by 16? So I have an 18 by 16. I don't like using 2 of the same drums. So what are you going to do in the second floor tom? He had 2 18s. Well, you know what you're going to do? Something different. 20 by 18. Fucking cannon. Anyway, you might look at this and you might say, well, that's an Imperial Star shell. Well, it is. And I'll tell you why. Grandstar, Artstars didn't make a 20 by 18. The only 20 18s I know of are Superstar and Imperial Star. Originally, this was a 20 by 18 Superstar, which I found locally. Now, they are very, very sought after, as I found out. So somebody got word that I had one, and they needed it. They made me such an offer, I couldn't refuse it. It was an exorbitant amount of money for the shell with the original Superstar hardware, and they were going to buy, there was a 2018 Imperial Star on Reverb. They were going to buy that, include it, and ship it out, and make a payment for the Superstar shell, and I would, in return, ship the Superstar shell out. So I did. Sometimes you can't pass up a deal, and I didn't. So I traded the Superstar for money and this Imperial Star shell. Is what it is. 20 by 18. Didn't want to run 2 of the same size, so that's what I did. Over here, I replicated. On this tour, he added this clip for 2 more sticks, so I replicated that. Again, you have your table, which works great with the module. Box set book, same thing with those. Duster, extra sticks. Again, we're going to go with the period correct shoes. I don't use them, but I thought they were a great piece. Just really, really ties it in with that time frame. If you were to walk on stage in Moscow, Russia, this is what you would see. So we went over the sizes. Same thing, I'm running the 600 pedals. That's that famous snare, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Now, I had the first generation Iron Cobras on here, and like the other ones, great pedals. Just once you get going with the modern technology, that the pedals that they make today, you really can't go back. So I sold off the first generation Iron Cobras, I sold off the King Beats, and I sold off the Pro Beats. When I look back on it, I should not have sold them. I should have displayed them on a shelf somewhere as vintage, period correct hardware. We all make mistakes, and that was one I regret. But maybe I'll get them back in the future. We'll see. Lars used to run this custom kind of stick bag, so I replicated it. Period correct-ish hi-hat stand. I know he had a different model with the black inlays. Had a hard time finding it, so I went with this. Black towels. Same thing, modern throne for my fat ass. Black towel hanging here. I guess on this tour he spun it around more that way. I'm all about the details, so that's what I did. Excuse me. Tama Titan stilts. That has changed. So, of course, I went with the stilts. Again, though, awesome hardware. The only thing that's changed is the tripod footprint. And this collar here loosens and will slide up so the cymbal stand will tilt. I don't feel the need to use the tilt. These are so adjustable as it is. These are just fantastic cymbal stands. All this hardware is just fantastic hardware that Tama made. I don't think so much anymore today, but back then, yes. So, same thing with the cymbals, same sizes, nothing to talk about there. Remo heads, same thing, EMADs. Now you might wonder about these Remo kick pads. Well, yeah, there used to be Danmars on each one of these kick drums, but Danmars do not feel the need to, they don't think that they need to stick to these heads, and they kept falling off. No matter how much you clean them with alcohol, they would keep falling off. So I had to make a switch to the Remo heads, or I'm sorry, the Remo kick pads. And that's what I did. Okay. Moon gels on everything, all around on all these toms in this room. All right, so a couple other things to add. This kit was kind of modeled after the very early European tour version, where he had the monkey and he had the Danish flag. I know the most popular one had the black hardware, but I think they were all custom for him, because I have never ever in my life seen a black Tama Titan stilt, let alone any Tama Titan. I've never seen it in black. And for me to, especially because of the rivets and all the rubber grommets hidden within these sleeves, and powder coating, you know, you have to heat things up. I didn't think it was feasible. I thought it was just a problem waiting to happen. So I decided to keep everything chrome and model it after that early European 91 tour. Now, I did decide to go with the MTH 300s, and just because of this wing nut is so much better accessible, these tom mounts are worlds better than the MTH 50s. Worlds better. So glad I decided to do that, because I know in that early European version he ran the MTH 50s. I deviated there a little. What are you going to do? Same story there. I guess we got to talk about the pictures on the wall, because they are significant. Another fabric poster, framed out with 1x3s. How about that one? That's rare. Has anyone seen that before? Let me know in the comments. I found that overseas on eBay, and I put in a very small bid on it, and I won. Like I said, I love period correct vintage posters with the kit in it, and that's what I tend to look for and buy. You have a vintage Tama ad from something they would run in Hit Parade or Drummer magazines. So I got that there. This one's Circus. Okay, pretty cool. Found that. Hey, you can find these. These are very easy to find still to this day. Just another cool poster. Gotta have the kit in it. To me, anyway. Oh, some people have asked me about this box. Nothing significant going on here. This is my air conditioning system behind this sheet wall, whatever you want to call it. And this is where the lines come down. I did HVAC for many years, and if you break that line, it's such a pain in the ass to repair. Playing drums, sticks, they fly. They go flying all the time. I didn't want any damage, so I covered it up. There are no secrets in there. All right, let's talk about this one. You may have seen a post I did on this last year on my Instagram. Finally found it. I was so excited when I found this. This was on Reverb, hanging around for a couple months. The guy was selling it, and he was selling it with a bunch of other signed Lars stuff, and he wanted $1,000 for the whole lot. And I said to him, well, I'm not interested in the whole lot, but I'll throw you $400 for the Lars poster. He agreed. I was like, holy shit, he agreed. So I did it. Now, the story with this is that these were given out with the retail kits, so there was 25 in the world. Never been able to confirm that, but I mean, it sounds right. But anyway, one is here, and this is where it will stay for the rest of its life. Great condition. Little tear down there on the bottom. Whatever. So rare, so collectible. Doesn't matter. So that was a hell of a find. There we go. There is another vintage Lars poster. Period correct with that kit. I found this one locally for 25 bucks, like 10 miles up the road. I flew out of here in a heartbeat. I told that guy I'd pick that up. So cool. Man, what a time to be alive back then, huh? Very proud I could replicate it and get it in the moment. You know what I'm saying? Just, you step back here, it's 1991, 1992. That's what I'm trying to achieve. I hope you guys get that feeling from my videos, because that's what it is to me. Another vintage poster has the kit in it. Other than that, it's album covers. Really not much more to discuss at this point. I'll give you another panoramic view of the room. I'll wrap this up. I'll tell you where we're going from here. So, let's go back to this shelf over here and talk about these, because it ties in perfectly. We'll talk about those 5 Road Pros that came off of this kit that when I upgraded to the Titans. I had 9 of them. I sold 4 of them. I kept the 5 because I had anticipated buying the M72 Seasons retail kit. I really did. When the Deeper Purple kit came out, it was $4,000. I had anticipated the new one would cost anywhere from $45,000 to $6,000. I was prepared to do it. There is one spot left behind that wall where I could put a kit and make a nice little display. So I kept those Road Pros. Well, I found out very early on, I did put a pre-order in. I put a pre-order in way back in July. I have a good relationship with Sweetwater. You know, we talk about the podcasts, and I told them I knew it was coming out. It's just things that happen when you do stuff like this. So I put a pre-order, no money down, with Sweetwater. Sweetwater's great. Before I knew how much it was going to cost, I was very shocked, surprised when I heard it was going to be $8,000 MSRP without tax and shipping. Now, Sweetwater doesn't charge shipping, but other places do. So here in New York, you're looking at about $8,600 after tax to bring that kit home, which, let me say, it's an awesome kit. If you got one, congratulations. You got a very cool piece. Ain't no way in hell I'm paying $9,000 for 6 shells. I don't care who used them. Just some things aren't worth the money to me. I don't think it was worth the money, so I canceled my pre-order. They came back with me. They tried to make a deal. Not much, $500 off. I still declined it. It's just not worth it to me. The last one was $4,000 new. Some places charge $45,000 when they made a little extra money. Some of the local drum shops. I wasn't prepared for it, so I didn't do it. But anyway, that's where we're going from here. I want to do one more replica. Now, obviously I've done these 3. So that's done. The Kill 'Em All Camco, although it's a nice kit, doesn't do anything for me. So I'm not doing that. The Ride the Lightning Imperial Star, very close to this one. So I don't feel the need to do that one. These 3, obviously. The Load and Reload kit are the only other things, the only other kit that I would replicate. The Green Sparkle St. Anger and the Magnetic Orange, they don't do anything for me. They do nothing at all for me, so I would never replicate them. So one of those two kits in the future, I don't know when, but I'm going to try and replicate. I got room for one more kit. I love the M72 Seasons kit. I'm not paying the price for the retail kit, so I would definitely replicate that. You could do it easily. There's Star Classics. I'm set up to powder coat and paint. So that's the route I would go. Yeah, it's not the collector's edition, but whatever. I mean, I have my snare that was used in the 40th anniversary video, so I'm cool with that. Maybe one day, I doubt it, maybe one day we could get Lars to sign it. I doubt it. So that's what's next. Maybe one more replica. We're going to keep doing the cover videos. I'm enjoying it. Others are enjoying it. I'm getting good reception. And, you know, maybe we'll throw microphones on it. It's something I have to see what I'm going to do. Maybe I throw microphones on that and forego the replica kit. Maybe I do the replica kit and stay with the Yamaha EAD10, which, I don't know. So that's where we're going. So let's talk about the snare real quick, because I did a 30-minute video on it. This video is even longer, but it had to be done. No, I put out a video last week saying they haven't contacted me. Nothing has changed. They haven't contacted me. A little bit upsetting, but it is what it is. I feel they made a really cool video, and it was great to be part of it. So there'll always be that. But they have not contacted me. I don't foresee them contacting me. But like I said in my last video, some people stepped up, and I was able to get that done, which that means a lot to me. So I am satisfied with that. And nothing ever changes, which I don't think it will. So that is about it, folks. We talked for a long time on this one, but I think it needed to be done. So that's the drum room. You asked for it. I brought it to you. I'm down here freezing. I have to piss again, but but we got it done. I think I covered everything, how I did it, why I did it. We went through the specs, and most all specs match his. So a lot of people ask me the specs all the time. Well, here they all are. So I appreciate everyone tuning in. I'm going to release this, you know, before Christmas, on Christmas, I don't know, depending on my schedule. So if you're watching this, Merry Christmas. Thank you for tuning in. I hope everyone is well. I appreciate you tuning in, as always. Ask questions. I'll answer anything I can. And what do the people say? Smash the like button and subscribe. No, you don't have to do that. If you do that, I appreciate it. But, you know, I'm not about that. It's just not what it's about. So, thank you for tuning in. And one more look around. There you go, guys. I know it's not Metallica doing it, but I think it's the second best. So, anyway, Merry Christmas. Thank you for watching another obnoxiously long video. I hope all of you are well, and I will see you shortly. Thank you, guys.